Greece fulfilled its first obligation to Eurozone leaders this week when its parliament approved tough austerity measures. They include higher taxes, pension cuts and the sale of state assets. In return, the European Central Bank approved emergency funding to help Greece meet its immediate financial needs and debt obligations. On Friday, German lawmakers approved starting negotiations for a third bailout for Greece after Chancellor Angela Merkel warned an alternative to the deal was chaos.
The alternative to this agreement would not be an orderly timeout from the Eurozone, but predictable chaos. It would be irresponsible if we did not pursue negotiations on new program for Greece. In the long term, Germany only does well when everyone does well in Europe.
Joining us now to discuss Greece's debt crisis is Christos Panagopoulos. He is the Greek ambassador to the United States. Ambassador, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. First question has to be, you know, the Greek people are going to be facing more austerity, more cuts, more pain. Is Greece ready for more years of this?
Nobody is ready to take more pain. I can remind you that we are already in the sixth year of this terrible economic crisis, which turned the upside down in my country. I have to tell you, it's not only a Greek problem, but the pain is, I would say, exclusive to this beautiful country, but it's a European crisis. It was important to my country back in 2008 when they started the big crisis here in the United States and then spread all over the world because of so many different reasons. If you wish, we can discuss this. We've been in the center of this storm for the last 5-6 years, feeling just a bit like in the laboratory, taking the recipes from different good or bad will people all over the world.
Well, it's interesting you say that because obviously the Greek people had their say in the referendum recently, but then it didn't seem to make a difference in terms of negotiating in Brussels, and they're now having to implement more austerity. Let's just listen to Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras, because he doesn't seem that positive.
I'm not going to tell the Greek people that this was a success story. This is a difference between past governments. They were telling us that the bailouts were a blessing. I'm just saying that this is a policy that doesn't help us, and in this framework, this harsh framework, we did whatever we could. We arrived to a point where we couldn't go any further.
So this deal that was done in Brussels, obviously Germany pushing for more austerity, did Greece have a choice?
You mean not to take it? I understand that the Prime Minister and our negotiating team went there determined to have a deal. And we got a deal, which is a very painful one. You just heard the Prime Minister saying that it was not our choice to... Why we say that? First of all, the people are suffering to an incredible degree for a peacetime period. On the other hand, we do believe that some of these measures that have been imposed on us, they're going to have a further recessionary, in an already restricted economy, further recessionary effects. So they're not going to help, we are afraid. But we have to do that because it's a whole package which is going to cover our needs for the coming 3 years and give us a breathing space to reorganize our economy.
Will Greece stick to this deal and implement all the reforms that it signed on to?
You have a very good proof on the outcome of a couple of days ago, the parliamentary vote, where out of 300 deputies in the Greek parliament, the government took 229, an overwhelming majority. Most of these people, they don't like the measures. The Prime Minister himself said it's not to our liking, all these things. But that gives you the determination to do what it takes to get out of the crisis.
Do you feel picked on by the rest of Europe, especially Germany? You said you were like a laboratory. Why do you think they're doing this?
Certainly at some point we feel like this. There are lots of people that they feel like this no matter what. But let me give you the major picture. We are partners in the European Union.
But that doesn't feel like it now, right?
For the average Greek citizen, it doesn't feel like this right now. But this is our relationship with Europe. We belong to Europe. We gave the name, it's a Greek name, Europe.
It is Europa. Yeah.
We have so many things. A lot of prominent European politicians said, including the German president, if I'm not mistaken, said they cannot imagine Europe without Greece. This is a big crisis, not only for us, for the whole of the European Union. But let me remind you, what is Europe, I mean, all these years? It proved, first of all, that we can have peace in Europe, 70 years. That's why you got, a couple of years ago, the Nobel Peace Prize, all the member states for this achievement. And on the other hand, crisis through crisis, we built a better Europe. What we see today, honestly, is not what our vision for Europe is, but we hope it's going to change. First, we have to get out of the crisis, though.
You said Europe was a Greek word. Austerity is a Greek word as
Absolutely.
well, originally. What would be your alternative to that? What do you think would have worked with Greece?
Austerity is nothing alien. I mean, the original Greek meaning. Austerity means living a Spartan way, and we adore this.
Within your means.
That's one thing. The other thing is to deprive people in 2015 the means to have, I mean, the basic to live, to close hospitals, schools, police stations. That's a very different thing for Europe, the heart of Europe, in 2015.
Yeah, that's not just living within your means, that's cutting, obviously.
Let me tell you, nobody's living, if you take it in a very strict way, I have objections. Take the United States, the superpower of the world. You know, they owe right now, as we speak, trillions and trillions. What does it mean? That they are not viable? Don't take this very simplistic view that you have to spend like a household. States are not working like this. Everybody owes some money to somebody else. So it's a very complicated system in a global economy. So this is very simplistic. Just spend what you have. Who is doing this today?
Do you blame the lenders as well? Because, you know, when you lend at a certain interest rate, that interest rate is part of the risk. That's why you get the money back. You know, to borrow is one thing, but you also have to have a lender. Do you feel that they are pushing Greece too hard? And let's face it, a lot of this bailout money goes directly back to them. It doesn't go and fund Greek pension systems.
You are absolutely right. That's why the people are mad in Greece, because we take billions and billions, which we have to repay, and we're going to repay, but there's no money in Greece, because they come and next moment, they're through a SWIFT, they're escape from the country outside. But
so what you're saying is you get a tranche of money from the Troika and then you just pay it out to the bankers again?
That's a typical situation in the last years. The money they stay in Greece, they are very minimal. But I don't like to get into this blame game. What we have to do now is to work very hard, not only us, but all our partners, and we have reason to believe, no matter how serious this last package is, and with austerity and all these things, we're going to make it. That's what we should do right now.
Now, there's hope in terms of a more rational discussion. Some Greek politicians have said with the IMF. Christine Lagarde, even today on French radio, said this austerity package can't work. There needs to be a haircut, debt relief, or at least extend the maturities of the debt going forward. Do you believe that will happen?
It's evident that the debt as it is today cannot, or it's not sustainable. Let me use a technical word. And, you know, restructuring debt is not something that's going to happen first time. I can give you examples from the recent history, and who is the beneficiary of this. You'll be surprised probably. So this is a common, let's say, thing. It's not very uncommon to restructure.
Mexico did it, Argentina.
And some other countries across the Atlantic, yes.
Yeah. There's been a lot of stereotypes about Greek people. High pensions, people not working hard, all this sort of stuff. These are wrong? Take this chance to correct that view.
There's a mythology going on, and I think just perpetuating these stereotypes doesn't help anyone. You go to Greece, you see people that they are put much more time every week in working terms, I mean, than you name them. Who is the most
Actually, yes, you're
people.
right. The figures show that Greeks work more hours than Germans.
But we're not productive. That's the problem. We put much more. What does it mean? We have to slice our pensions and just give to our people $1 per month. It's not going to help anyone. Let me tell you, around Greece, there are countries that they have much less basic salaries, let's say. They don't attract investments. This is not the way out. And Germans, they pay, for a good reason, their workers very, very high salaries. They are productive, they are successful. So the recipe is not just cut and cut and cut and cut.
What's your message to people? Go to Greece, spend money?
Absolutely. Well, as we speak, there are millions of tourists in my country. Remains the most beautiful country. And I invite all of you to come to Greece. We're going to break a record number of visitors coming to Greece this year. And we do expect you. You are most welcome.
Well, I had a wonderful time growing up going to Greece many times.
Come back again,
you have a
please.
beautiful country.
Anytime.
Ambassador Panagopoulos, thank you so much.